I would like to just share some fun facts, because this is not a video like my other videos that's just on one nutrient, but I just wanted to talk about various nutrients that were in this dish, namely copper, iron, and zinc. 3 very important minerals for healing and for postpartum as well as during pregnancy. Hi, this is Carmen Cooks. Today we're going to discuss pregnancy and lactation nutrient needs, and we're going to make a cashew basil pesto. You can use Parmesan as typically the basis of sauces and pestos, but I'm going to do cashews because dairy can be particularly irritating to breastfeeding babies, and it's one of the main causes of colic. If your baby has colic and you're including dairy in your diet, it's good to cut it out and see how that goes, because usually within about a month's time the colic will resolve if that's the problem in the diet. Sometimes there could be multifactorial reasons for the colic, which means multiple reasons for the colic, so you'd have to eliminate all of them, but dairy consumption by the mother is the #1 reason. Also, dairy is not good postpartum because the mother is healing a lot. There's a lot of inflammation in the body to heal the uterus and the placental, detachment from the uterus, and to heal the mother if she's had a C-section. It's a serious abdominal surgery that takes about a year to heal, and consuming foods such as cashews is going to greatly increase her zinc intake, and that way she can heal. Zinc is a crucial nutrient for healing postpartum and wound healing, and you have a large number of wounds. If you ever had a baby, you know things don't go back right away. It takes about a year. And if you've had a C-section, you know that the damage can be very severe, and you can really suffer for about a year before you even feel normal, both emotionally, psychologically, and longer before you have a full-time healing. So we're going to use cashews. I have 1 cup of cashews that I'm placing in my blender. Unfortunately, it's plastic. I prefer not to use plastic, and if you're at home cooking, invest in a glass or stainless steel blender. This is simply a vacation rental, so I'm doing this fun video with this beautiful light that we've got in the beautiful weather, and the Airbnb comes with plastic, but microplastics can go into your food from the long-term use of blenders. Lots of beaches, yes, okay. That's why we're looking all cute and our beach clothes ready to go to the beach right after I make this video. Half the day's gone. And so I just want to pulse this. I don't want to get like a really super powder. You just pulse, pulse, pulse. Get this I'd like. I'm going to put that in my bowl. Cashews are a wonderful source of copper and zinc. They also have some iron. Copper, iron, and zinc are 3 nutrients that we're going to talk about today. Cashews are really high in copper, and they also have good amounts of zinc. And these 2 nutrients are essential for healing your collagen and for healing the layers of your uterus, the connective tissue, the fibroblasts that make the connective tissue. All these cells, they need high amounts of zinc and copper. I'm going to separate the basil from the stems, and basil acts just lasts for a very short time. I bought this on Saturday. It's a Monday. It's actually Tuesday, and the basil is already wilting, so that's why we had to hurry and make this despite having great weather. Because tomorrow the basil is going to be gone, right, Flash?
Yep. Of course this video is very short. It just takes up like 10 minutes, so it doesn't matter if you don't want to.
Your words have power. Remember that. People love to see it. Say people love to see this video. It only is 10 minutes. It won't take very much of your time.
It's all, and people actually love to watch this video. That's the real thing, and also that, anyways, that, and it's only 10 minutes, and it won't take up all your time. You can just like watch this video for 10 minutes, and then you can go off to whoever you want, and you don't have to watch it any more day. If you want to watch it again, you can.
Basil is very high in iron. Iron is an essential nutrient, you know, for healing anemia, but you might not have occurred to you that after childbirth that your iron needs are much higher. because you are healing. And this is especially the case if you have had a C-section. It is concerning to me that the lactation recommendations for iron are so low. They're actually lower than the regular woman's iron needs, because the assumption is they're not menstruating, and they're also not producing all the blood like the pregnant woman does. So the iron needs are about half of a normal woman's needs. But this does not take into consideration the higher iron needs you need for healing a wound. So if you're just meeting the RDAs for iron during lactation, during your 4th trimester, I would be concerned that it might not be enough for healing the wounds, especially if you've had a C-section. And then with this recipe, we also have a lot of copper and zinc. Now during pregnancy, we have to, doctors may ask questions about who becomes deficient, and it depends on what nutrient you're discussing in regards to who becomes deficient, the mother or the fetus, because although we might see the fetus is always getting the nutrients first, that's not always the case. It depends on the type of nutrient. Now, a lot of nutrient usage by the fetus depends upon the mother's stores. So in like the case of zinc, it's really important that the mother begins supplementation or increased food intake of zinc about 6 months before pregnancy so that she has enough stores. And it's interesting that your nutrient stores before pregnancy can actually have an effect all the way past into your baby's lactation years. So if you're, for example, if you're low in one nutrient, say such as B12 before pregnancy, your baby's stores when they're born and all the way into their first year of lactation can be low. They can have a low B12 status or nutrient status. So it's really important. I suggest that you start paying attention to your diet about 6 weeks before to 6 months, especially. I really think 6 months is the minimum. But some people, they don't plan that far ahead, so I say 6 weeks bare minimum before pregnancy. Now, this is not enough basil, I'm discovering, for the amount of cashews I have. So I have 2 options. I can either lower the amount of cashews, or I can increase. I have some other herbs. I have some beautiful parsley. And you can use all basil, but I would say this is about half a cup of chopped basil. And then I need at least a full cup of herbs that are once they're chopped, not before chopped. Different nutrients are taken up differently by the placenta. Now iron, which is really high in basil, and I like to, you'd be surprised how much iron is in basil, is not actively taken up by the placenta. It has more of a passive transport, and this transport depends upon the mother's blood concentrations. And so if the mother's low, the fetus is also going to be low. But conversely, and this is very important in regards to iron, you don't want to have too high levels of iron intake, such as eating lots of beef every day. You can't say, oh, I just need lots of iron, so I'm going to eat lots of meat and lots of red meat at every meal, or I have a reason to eat this. You don't need to eat that much. You need to get iron from plant foods mostly, and then some from animal foods. Yes, the animal food iron, the ferrous iron is easily absorbed, but it's really important to intake ferric iron as well, which is the kind found in the basil, because the body can more appropriately regulate this. Uptake, both uptake in your body can uptake that iron through transferrin receptors in the GI tract. The placenta has its unique mechanisms to also uptake iron from the mother's bloodstream, but the placenta cannot protect the fetus from excess iron intake. So if you have really high levels of iron intake, such as like a high meat diet plus, or God forbid, a ferrous iron supplement, which is the more absorbable form, yes, but it's not necessarily a good thing, you can cause oxidative damage to the fetus. I'm going to put about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of Himalayan sea salt. Of Himalayan salt. I want sea salt, but I cannot find sea salt without potassium iodinate or other things in it. I prefer to get the foods in the whole form. I don't like added compounds, especially even if it's iodine added to my food. I prefer to eat it from seafood, the natural form, and like with plants. For example, with iron, you want to have more iron from the plant form because it won't cause oxidative damage in your body, and it won't go into the fetus, and it won't cause oxidative damage to the fetus, because the fetus, the placenta, has an active transport mechanism which is more passive transport mechanism for the iron. And that is good because the amount of bloodstream, the amount of iron the mother has was just going to determine the amount that the fetus has, but then it's bad because the placenta cannot protect the mother from excess iron intake. Conversely, copper and zinc mechanisms uptake by the fetus are a little bit different. They are taken up by active transport, and for example with copper it's a little different. If the mother gets a little bit low on copper, well, the fetus will start increasing more. But if the mother has a lot of copper in her blood, well, the fetus will downregulate the amount of, or the placenta downregulates the amount of copper that's taken in by the body when the mother's copper levels are really high. And the same is true with the mother's copper absorption in general. Women during pregnancy and lactation, when the copper levels are really high in the bloodstream, the body lowers the absorption. But conversely, when the copper levels are low, the body upregulates the absorption. Now, copper is super important for all kinds of postnatal healing, also for formation of the bones, for connective tissue. And then copper is a very important enzymatic compound as well. So it works in a lot of enzymes. For example, if copper is low, you're going to have trouble with selenium-dependent glutathione peroxidase, which is a key antioxidant mechanism in your body. And if you've had a C-section, or if you have anything like gestational diabetes or a low birth weight baby, a small for age birth weight baby, you might have high levels of inflammation. And in this case, you need to make sure that you're getting enough copper through foods like cashews, tahini,
and
seafood, persimmons, so that you're getting enough copper so that you have that high antioxidant amount functioning in your body, because copper acts as an antioxidant in the body through various mechanisms. Now, zinc is a little bit, let's get our, I'm going to add some garlic. I have this elephant garlic, which is beautiful.
We already talked about a video when we talk about copper a lot we blend up the persimmons and make persimmon jelly.
That's right. Now, copper is really important because it's actively taken by the fetus. If the mother, this can lead to a deficiency in the mother, and that can cause problems with iron metabolism for the mother, as well as enzymatic functions in the mother's body. So it's really important that you're consuming enough of nutrients both for your baby and for you, because the baby, when it receives priority for nutrients, you frequently are deficient. And both with iron, copper, and zinc, the mother is the one that becomes deficient first. In the case of zinc, when the mother is a little bit low, the zinc is preferentially given to the fetus, and this can cause problems with the mother's immune function. So if you're noticing your immune function is faltering during pregnancy or lactation, you might turn to zinc and look for, you could do a supplement with zinc sulfate, but you can have inhibition of iron metabolism if you're too high in zinc, so you need to be careful. The mother, if you increase zinc intake, any infection you have, like a parasitic infection, a bacterial infection, all these things hack your body and steal your zinc. So it's really important that you are consuming enough zinc through zinc-rich foods, and that's one nutrient that I find in a plant-based diet I tend to be low in, so I purposefully always have a bowl of toasted pumpkin seeds. I just grab them like I walk by randomly, like eat a few. When I'm out, I will get oysters, but I won't buy other food, and then I'll go home and eat later. Like, okay, well, I don't need a fried fish sandwich, even though that'd be great and save me from cooking, but I do need zinc, which is in high amounts in oysters. I don't know how many milliliters. With your olive oil, you want to make sure it says read the ingredients. It took me 10 minutes to pick this out. I found one that has the acidity mark. It's got other certifications, agricultural certifications. The one I almost bought, like
She's almost the best. Is almost the best hangout fast food.
Adding a bunch of olive oil. I've got about a 4 cup there, and I'm gonna take my little water and just kind of blend this together. But you can, since I chop these, you can just do like a mix like this. But I'm gonna go ahead and, since I'm talking to you, mash this down. I put half of a clove of elephant garlic. You can put more or less. The placental mechanisms of zinc transport are a little bit different from copper and iron. They are active transport like copper and unlike iron, but in the case of a deficiency, the fetus or the placenta will actually downregulate its zinc transporters so that less is taken out. So really the deficiency will kind of go between the fetus and the mother, but that's when the mother's deficient and the fetus says, okay, well, I can't have mommy dying of a cold, or I can't have mommy not healing. She needs to be able to heal enough to walk around and care for me, those big placental wounds. And zinc intake, like you could take, wound healing suggests 220 milligrams a day of zinc sulfate for healing. And I suggest using a supplement for the first 6 weeks postpartum. And that's called the perineum period. And it's just a period, it's not based on that much other than the time it takes the uterus to go back to its regular size, and that's generally a convenient time for doctors to evaluate the mother after postpartum. But it's not based on lower levels or recovery from the full recovery of the mother. And if you've had a C-section, research shows it takes at least a year to heal from major abdominal surgery, which you have when you're, not only your layers here are cut open, which a lot of major abdominal surgery just has a very tiny pin gone in, and they're using cameras. They're not cutting a hole this big. That is a major abdominal surgery. And not only that, they cut a hole in your uterus that big as well. So you have every layer, your muscles and through there, whereas a lot of times abdominal surgery, they'll make a very small hole or they'll go in through the side between the muscles. They're not cutting all your muscle layers. They'll make a small hole in the muscles, and that's a big difference than the amount of damage that's from a large incision that's the size of a baby's head. And that's why it's really important to have good food postpartum, and I highly recommend that you're consuming more iron and the foods of basil. And here we're going to have a few, I'm going to show you I've already cooked in my pan, and yes, it's dirty, but I like it that way because once you've got the oil and smoked it, it becomes nonstick. So I'm going to turn that back on. I'm going to put a little oil in there. I like to use coconut oil for frying my olive oil here. Or trash in the trash. What happened to my compost, Flash?
Compost?
Here it is. Good job. Thanks for taking the compost out, buddy. There, and I'm going to put this, show you
Put it down on the floor, Mom. It doesn't go there. Carmen.
It's very important to consume a high protein after childbirth as well. And the amount of protein that you need is practically impossible to intake eating the way we're typically used to eating. Now, I suggest a protein supplement like a whey or pea protein right after healing, in addition to paying attention to 3 crucial minerals: zinc, copper, and iron postpartum, so that you heal the damage. Even if you don't have a C-section, there's a wound this big where the placenta detaches, as big as my head, bigger than my head, from the uterus, and the uterus has to go from a size of a papaya or a small watermelon back to the size of an orange. Maybe a grapefruit or an orange. The uterus varies between the size of a plum to grapefruit, depending on which period of your cycle you're on, which is why some days your tummy here is more out, and some days it's just like way in well, because you have an organ changing size, guys. Like, we do not have flat stomachs, and I've been so brain damaged by my self-concept, looking at flat girl stomachs who are underweight and not fertile my whole life, and affecting your self-esteem. So I just want all the women out there to know that that is not realistic. Not only is it airbrushed, or you're looking at girls to model after who have no fertility, who lost their periods, who have amenorrhea, or who cannot get pregnant easily. A girl that can get pregnant easily, she's got a layer of squishiness somewhere, whether it's here, or here, or here, or here, or like here, but generally it's like the buttocks or stomach. Those are kind of, and hips. Those are areas that signal high fertility in a woman. And if she has thin legs or really buff legs, doesn't have real big hips, then she's gonna have some weight on her stomach. And if she doesn't, she's not very fertile. And actually you'd be surprised, men do like a little bit of squeezing, and this makes you lovable and sexy just as much as here. I want to feel good personally. I like to be strong. Maybe I should say be strong. I personally like being strong, so I feel really good when I'm eating right. And I know food is very expensive, and it's so easy
we
to
don't like
spend
to be sexy.
$3 on some bread and liverwurst and Oreos, but honestly, you feel so bad. Like, I feel so freaking good right now. I have so much energy, and I can just like go and swim across the lake. I feel like, yes, at 10 o'clock I'm exhausted, but that's my limit. But one way we feel that way and live up to our highest potential, and also I think that the body as our temple is very dependent upon these chakras and your energetic state, and your energetic state depends upon what you're eating. So if your body's just trying to detoxify, you're at base level, you're at level 1. And then if you're eating right, no matter what's happening in your life, you can still feel good. You can have the worst imaginable, horrible, tragic story. But if you're eating right, your body feels good. That's like, okay, I still have the strength to tolerate the weight that is on my shoulders, and the strength to stand up and have joy despite the horrible tragedies or this very egregious, unjust thing that happened to me. I can still stand up, or I can still survive even though I've separated from the love of my life, or I can still survive even though I did not get something that I was working for or striving for. I can still survive if I got injured. Right? You can still survive and you can still feel good, and no matter what, diet is the basis of that. And so I made these like great pancakes here, and we're doing savory pancakes now, and these are made, my God, I was on a tangent.
We had them this morning for breakfast. They were amazing.
Flash helped me make this new recipe, and I will tell you right now, it's dairy-free. We used half a cup of coconut milk and
eggs. Egg was the first thing.
A cup of water to 3/4 cup of water, 6 eggs, 1 cup of lentil flour, half a cup of brown rice flour that was organic, half a cup of manioca flour, which is in the region I'm at and is beautiful. I just found it in some random little farmer's market, and it's whole grain, and I swear it made this recipe so good. And a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda. Now I'm going to add some of this avocado. If I was postpartum, I would also add egg, but this recipe here is very high in protein because of the way that I used a combination of lentil and brown rice and manioca flours. And not only is it high protein, but it's complete protein, which means that it's got all the amino acids, which is very important when healing, to make sure you're not just eating, vegetarian high protein diet. Well, no, you can't just have rice protein. It doesn't have balanced amino acids. You particularly need glutamine and arginine. And by the way, arginine is high in cashews. So what am I doing? I'm talking about amino acids and thinking about glutamine and arginine. Where's my pesto?
Pesto!
We're going to add this pesto. My plan was to add this beautiful pesto under the avocado.
Are you making a beautiful, are you making a sandwich, Mom? I forgot.
I'm making an open-faced savory pancake. It's so good, gonna be so good. And I'm putting this. Now you could add a side of scrambled eggs to this if you were postpartum, or if you just needed more protein, you could add eggs on top. And then I put the avocado there, and that, my dears, is how you make food that's healthy, delicious, and nourishing. And that pesto I can put in a jar, and it's gonna last me 2 weeks. And that makes healthy food taste good. I could put that on top of a baked sweet potato. I could put it on some brown rice. And yes, the ingredients for that recipe were quite pricey.
Or black rice.
Or black rice, particularly with the olive oil cost, but it goes a long way. You're not eating a lot. And olive oil is another nutrient you need to be consuming postpartum for healing, because vitamin E is crucial. Not only does your baby need high amounts of vitamin E during breastfeeding, because the breast milk uses a lot of vitamin E, because vitamin E is crucial for making those cell membranes. So if you don't have enough vitamin E, you will not have good, nice cell membranes enveloping your cells, and that can also affect anemia. If your doctor suggests anything like an iron supplement or blood transfusion, God forbid, for pregnancy, anemia, a lot of times anemia is due to low riboflavin, low vitamin E. If to get in the olive oil. So first have them test your low vitamin A status. First have them test your vitamin A status. But olive oil will help absorb the vitamin A. And you also need high vitamin A when lactating as well. It's another crucial nutrient. And this will be delicious on top of a sweet potato. So that's all I have to say. This is not a very focused video on one of my chapters. It's just a synthesis of different information.
10 minutes.
The information for the transporters is covered in my nutrient tables in Nourishing Generations, my first published book, which is a manual for the micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, and it's one classified nutrients. Now the recipe for the cashew basil pesto is in my second book. That is called Staying Fed. It can also be found on Amazon. And it is a cooking manual, about 1,000 pages. Includes a basic section.
To get to know ya, 이미 시작된 걸.